Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Derek Jeter, Curt Schilling, Gary Sheffield, Sammy Sosa, Larry Walker. So, Mark, let's bunch some names together. Ready? Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Gary Sheffield, Sammy Sosa. Bernsey and I went long yesterday hanging out talking about the PED discussion involving the Hall of Fame. So what I do respect is the process here, and you can explain for us, but you have Bonds and Clemens, but the question I ask so often to people that have them on there is, then why not Sosa and Sheffield? You have all four of them.
Yeah, well, look, that era in baseball was unfortunate, and I think there's a lot of reasons why, but what bothers me is that I don't know who did what. At the end of the day, I don't know. And if someone were to give me a definitive list and said, here's all the guys that did this stuff, here's all the pitchers that did this stuff, here's who faced those pitchers, here's those hitters, then you know what? Maybe my ballot looks different. The bottom line is I don't have that. I suspect I'll never have that. So I'm not going to play judge and jury for somebody else. All right, so what am I going to go on instead? Well, what they did on the field. If we're just talking about what they did on the field, I don't think there's any debate about any of those guys. And there shouldn't be any debate on Sosa, by the way. I know what the advanced metrics say, and I know what all the allegations and whatever say. He's a 600 home run hitter. Period. End of story. That's a Hall of Famer to me and someone you want to celebrate, especially given at the time that he did it, right? Like at a time, again, where the game needed a star to do some star things. Sammy Sosa is one of the guys who did that.
So now, how open are you to even progressing forward when, you know, well, we have Manny Ramirez, Alex Rodriguez, like where's your line? Is there a line for you?
There is a line for me. So, you know, again, there was a point, I've heard it described as a Wild West era, and people might, you know, have a disagreement about that, but I happen to agree that that's sort of the way the culture was. And then after that, there was a point where, look, I think public pressure had something to do with it, but the league and everyone involved was like, look, this is bad stuff, can't be doing it. I think it was very clear to everybody involved. If you're still getting tested positive after that point, to me, it's very difficult to overlook, because I think that's much more reliable as far as trying to sort out who did what than it was before, when it really is just all gray area.
I don't have a vote, of course, but I don't vote for any, like Bonds, Clemens, whatever, but I respect the process because you have Sheffield and Sosa. I never understand Bonds, Clemens, but not Sheffield, Sosa. What do you think about his ballot?
Well, I respect the process that he took, because I think it's foolish that someone says Bonds, Clemens and says, oh, Sammy Sosa. Like, you're not even close to being a Hall of Famer. He was a dominant force during the time that he played. So, Mark, I guess my question to you is, a suspension draws a line.
I think it's more like when it happened, right? Like, so, yeah, suspension for, you know, lack of a better word, but like more so, I would say like 09, 10. That's about when in baseball, where it was very clear to everybody involved, can't be doing PEDs, can't be doing it. It's not going to be tolerated. It's going to be public if you violate these rules. And in fact, a few years after that, they made the rules even more stringent. So to me, if you violated the policy at that point in time, then it's really difficult personally for me to look at your career without some suspicion. Actually, beyond suspicion, you got suspended.
You got caught.
Like, yeah, I mean, when it was public and everybody knows, that is a choice you made. It's a choice you're going to live with. And I think there are guys, as we go down the line, who are, you know, Manny Ramirez is not on my ballot, probably never will be for that reason.
Yeah. I mean, I've been pretty outspoken about this. And I would just say, because I've always felt that you either have to let the entire era in or keep the entire era out, because just like you said, Mark, we don't know who did what. And so now my issue is that it's pretty evident that there are guys that are already in the Hall of Fame who have done performance-enhancing drugs. Scott, you and I talked about this last night. And so what makes it okay that these guys are in, yet we're going to keep other guys out? Which is why I love the fact that you include Sosa, that you include Sheffield in that Bonds and Clemens sort of thing. Now, other people have an argument on Bonds and Clemens that, well, they were Hall of Famers before and Hall of Famers after. Look, I don't care about that. I could tell you this. I could tell you from my observation playing through that era, those are the two best I ever saw. That, I mean, that was the elite of the elite when it comes to pitching, the elite of the elite when it comes to hitting, position players. And when you see guys that are suspected performance-enhancing drug users that are already in, it's, man, how do I keep those other guys out? That all said, Mark, which I really like your stance on this, when it's been proven and guys are testing positive or like, and we're getting into the 2010s or even near it. But even that, I mean, I'll go back to as soon as you start drug testing. You know, now if you want to draw your line there, sure, because we finally implemented that drug testing. So if you tested positive along that thing, and you know, automatically it could and probably should eliminate you from the Hall of Fame.
Like, just to play off something that Burnsy said, because this comes up a lot. Well, he was ex-player before he started. Nobody knows when anybody started or ended or whatever. That's the point. It's all ambiguous. We don't know. Stop pretending like we know. All right, where is this person that knows who did what and when? Where is that guy? Because, boy, I would love to talk to him and then refill out my ballot. That guy doesn't exist. Anyone that believes or is saying this stuff, like, I can't trust that. I don't have enough information. I wish I did. It's really frustrating. But don't give me this about, well, he was this before he started. You have no idea when he started or any of that stuff. And by the way, look at this last season. Proof, by the way, that like a guy could hit for power and it might not be PEDs. Maybe it's just the baseball. We can measure it now, but we saw power spikes in 1987 when Mark McGwire hit 49 bombs. Maybe that was the baseball. Maybe we couldn't measure it then. Maybe it's not always about PEDs or whatever. I'm just saying it's possible and we don't know at the end of the day. That's the issue.
I just wish the guys that were accused would, you know, if you were accused in the past, I would have liked some better answers from some of the people when they were asked about it, but well, that's a whole nother story. That's for another time.
You were a lot better in the bar last night.
Yeah,
when we had this
well,
conversation.
thank you, okay? Well, family show.